Hello, Sinéad.
Hello, Jay.
And hello, everyone, and welcome to the Formula Fun podcast. We are at week 2.
Woo!
How are we doing?
We made it through week 1, which I think was pretty good.
Yeah,
we had a guy challenge our opinions on Instagram, so that was fun.
I saw that, yeah. They said that Colapinto is going to be out. And you know what? After the Alpine launch, which we will get onto in another episode, I actually potentially now agree with him. So thank you for your comments.
Okay.
And everyone that has listened and shown their support, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
It's a new venture, and we are figuring it out as we go, but we're very, very excited. So today's episode, what we're talking about, we touched on it a little bit in our first episode in terms of the 2026 regulations. A lot has changed. Maybe you've watched Drive to Survive. Maybe you have been a fan of Formula One, but not entirely been keeping up with it more recently. We're going to go through and break down exactly what the changes are this year, because as we mentioned last week, this is the biggest regulation change that I think Formula One has ever seen.
It's the Great Reset. It's everybody on a more even playing field.
A much more even playing field.
Yeah.
And even though there's lots of rumours already, the fact is we don't know what the pecking order is. And we'll also be talking about the cars hitting the track, because today, as of recording, they're on the track. So I am so excited because 2026 has started. Yes. I also have to start this episode with an apology.
Oh.
Because last week, I think I said something along the lines of, I don't really support any particular driver or F1 team or anything. I just love the sport for the sport. And you know what?
You were wrong.
In my head, think that. But in my heart, Ferrari and Lewis Hamilton hit that track.
God.
And I couldn't take my eyes off it. I've watched every video going. I've tried to find out everything about Ferrari to find out, is Lewis Hamilton going to be in a shot of any sort of wins?
Babe, no.
Podiums, championships.
No.
I'm a Lewis Hamilton fan. I said it.
Right. So are you saying that you're also a Ferrari fan? Are you wearing a Ferrari t-shirt right now?
Yes, I am.
Didn't Ferrari's car literally just stop?
Yes.
Okay, good.
So
that's a good sign. Yeah.
No, it's okay. Right. It's okay, because he did a practice start, and Ferrari have said it was all planned. He did a practice start, then he came to a stop, and what they were doing is they were saving mileage so that Charles could then have his go in the car and do another 3 laps. His little go.
His silly little go.
Yes. But today, 2026, rules explained. Okay, so first up, usually it's either an engine change or an aerodynamic change. This year is both. I'm going to start off with the aero changes. So, number 1, the cars will be smaller.
Okay.
Can you guess how much?
Not like Lego size?
Not Lego size, but did you see the Lego racing last year? Because that was class.
Yes, I did. That was probably the highlight of the season for me.
Yeah, and the drivers
Didn't
loved
one
it
of the
more
cars
so than the
break
racing.
down and one of the drivers had to sit on the back?
On another one? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hop on another
that was
car.
hilarious.
The cars are going to be 20 centimetres shorter. Loads.
That is loads, to be fair. Yeah.
They're also going to be 10 centimetres thinner. Which
I wouldn't mind being 10 centimetres thinner. You know what I'm saying? Am I right?
Likewise. But the whole thing and the whole idea of this is to try and make the cars a little bit more nimble, a little bit more squirrely as they're coming out of corners and things, and hopefully lighter in the long run. And that brings me on to the next point, is that the car weight limit has been reduced by 30 kilograms. Now, the issue is the 30 kilograms reduction is the amount of new safety things there are this year. And obviously all the new sensors, the battery, all of that, it's going to add weight. So actually a lot of the cars are going to come in overweight. They're probably going to be a similar weight to what they were last year. Maybe not quite as much, but they're going to probably be similar. But they have this room to hopefully take off the weight, and again, making the cars just a little bit more lighter, a little bit more nimble, and therefore able to fight and race more.
Can I ask, as a result of these measurement changes, will there be more overtaking?
There's going to be more space in places like Monaco where things are really tight on the roads.
Wondering.
but 20 centimeters isn't life-changing. So, however, all the cars that have been launched, I think they already look a lot racy. They look like a Formula One car again. I think when they were launching the cars from 2022 to last year, they looked massive, and it just looked like they were lugging these cars around these corners, and it lost the nimble, exciting, fast turns.
Bit clunky.
Especially through the slow speed corners. So I think it's a step in the right direction. I don't think it's going to be transformative in terms of the racing that we see, but maybe the other things are. The next thing they're doing is they have narrowed the tyres, which means less contact with the ground, which means, again, more nimble, less downforce, harder to control, more challenging for the drivers. And that is what I think has been the onus on the aero side this year. They've really tried to make it more of a challenge and difficult to drive. Next up is the front wing. The front wing is the thing that you see right in front of the car. It used to stretch right in front of the car, and it sort of also covered the front wheels. That's now become a lot narrower, which means that the air travelling at the car, the whole point in Formula One in terms of aerodynamics is to keep the car planted and to create as much downforce as possible so you can go through the corners as quickly as possible. With this thing with the front wing, it's now narrower, so now the teams can't really control the air before it hits the front tyres. Obviously, a big fat tyre in the way is going to be annoying for a team that wants to go as fast as possible. So they directed the air in a different way to go down all these different channels at the side of the car and through the suspension to get more pace. Now, the wing is narrower, which means those bulky tyres are sometimes the first thing to hit the air, which means it's going to be harder for teams to control that air around it, and it means that it's going to, again, cause a little bit of they're not going to be as stable. And we're now looking at, in terms of downforce levels, and when I say downforce, that is pressing the car to the ground to make it go through corners as quickly as possible without spinning off. The downforce levels we're looking at this year are the downforce levels that they have in Monza every year. And why I bring up Monza, that is the Italian Grand Prix with really, really, really long straights.
It's also the location where the most Formula One races have happened, which we learned at the end of our episode last week.
We did in last week's Quizifying.
And that was embarrassing for you that you didn't know that. Yeah.
I didn't know the answer.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Monza, lots of straights, minimum corners. They scrub off the downforce because all they want to do is go as fast as they can in a straight line because the corners are so minimal in the track. That means their wings are really skinny, and when I say skinny, it means they're more flat. When they want more downforce on the car and there's more corners, the wings come up a bit, and that creates a bit more drag, but it means the car is pressed against the ground and can go through corners quickly.
Okay.
Because of these new regulations in the aerodynamics area, we're looking at Monza levels of downforce on all tracks, which is really good because it means they're going to be squirreling out of corners. They're going to be hopefully more nimble because they're lighter. They're going to be shorter and more space to be provided on track to hopefully have more battles on track in racing.
Does that mean then that at Monza, the downforce will be even stronger because it's already... Is that a stupid question?
No. So there will still be altering their wing levels and stuff. And obviously in Monza, they will try and make them even skinnier, so therefore even more flat. And then it's all a case of, does a team want to be really quick in the corners but then slower on the straights? Or do they want to be quick in the straights and then slower in the corners? And it's with the engine regulations that are going to come up, we're going to talk about shortly as well, it all combines into who has got it right this year.
Okay.
The next thing I'm going to talk about is active aero. Last year, and for many years before that, we've had something called DRS. DRS is where the rear wing is closed. If you're within 1 second of the car in front, on designated straights where DRS zones are applied, the driver is allowed to flick a little button. That does this. The air travels through, the car goes faster, ideally putting them into a place to be able to overtake. DRS is gone this year, but that mechanism isn't. But they've also added it to the front wing. That means that when drivers are on designated straights where it's allowed to be used, there is going to be two modes that you're allowed to have. One mode is Z mode, which is where they're allowed to go along the straights, click a little button, the front wing flaps will sort of flatten and the rear wing will open, therefore being able to achieve a higher top speed on the straight. Soon as they hit a corner, they have to press a button again to go into X mode, which is where the rear wing flap comes down, creates drag, and the front wing flap goes up, again creating more drag, which means they'll then have more downforce and grip in the corners. As soon as they get back onto the straight, click a button, everything goes back to the Z mode for straight line. Right, that's pretty much aero. I think I spoke last week about the floor. If you turn the car upside down, you have all these different channels and stuff from last year, all these different channels, which the whole aim of the downforce effect era was to suck the car as close to the ground as possible. A lot of teams had issues with that because there was something called bouncing or porpoising.
Porpoising is like the greatest word ever. The first time I heard it, I was like, what?
Bounce up and down like a porpoise.
Also, is it porpoising or is it porpoising? Porpoising? No.
You know that grammar's not my strong suit.
No, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Porpoising. Yeah, but it's spelled porpoising.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Like the cars would be sucked down so far to the ground that then as soon as there was a tiny bump in the tarmac on the track, it would then bounce up, and then that would just create this effect where it was literally bouncing. This year, they're going back to the raked style of car, which means that the car is ever so slightly raked, so the rear is higher than the front. It is not a case of sucking the car into the ground, which it was for the ground effect era. It is more focused on the aero, and again, allowing that air to travel under the car increases instability and means that hopefully the cars will be a bit more squirrely, they'll be harder to drive, which makes it more exciting for us watching because we have no idea what's going to happen and how that's going to transpose on track. That's aerodynamics. Have you got any questions?
What I will say, Jay, is that this has answered a big question that I've had since I started watching, which my fiance did try to explain the answer to me, but I think it stumped him a bit because it was such a stupid question. This answers my question of why can't the cars, when they're being slow, just drive faster? So like if you're like back of the grid, let's say you're like number 17 or whatever, just go fast. Just go faster.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Because their car won't allow them to.
Well, I realise that now with all the stuff that's going on in the background. Yeah.
If all of the drivers were put into the same car, I would say maybe 0.2 of a second over a 1.5 minute lap would separate them.
Sure.
Maybe.
Wouldn't that be class if they could do that just for the crack?
Yes, it would be.
Like, wouldn't you love to see it? Because it would wrap up so many questions or like arguments that people have about who's the better driver or like who's the faster driver.
Yeah.
Like even within, a lot of people I've seen say, oh, well, the best way to measure how good a driver is comparing them to their teammate because that's the closest you're going to get to two people driving the same equal machinery, if you will. So I'm imagining they've never done it because it would be really expensive for like
from a commercial standpoint. It'd be so hard in terms of all the sponsors
just to do it for the crack. Yeah. And also the drivers probably wouldn't want to do it either, just because it removes some ambiguity.
Yeah, I think it was. I think the closest thing was back in the day when there was Top Gear and they did the star in a reasonably priced car. They brought F1 drivers in, and that's the only. I mean, and even
I must go back and watch some of those.
You should. I think
my dad used to watch that show all the time, and I did find it interesting, but also Jeremy Clarkson's gives me the ick. But
I think Daniel Ricciardo's episode was really good.
Oh my God, Daniel Ricciardo! We haven't talked about him yet, and he is my favorite person. He might be my favorite person that I've not met him, but he might be my favorite person that I've ever had a parasocial relationship with.
Favorite F1 personality.
Right. And he should be doing all the stuff. Like, not driving, but all the other stuff.
He is just living his life and having a great life now away from it. And I can't imagine he'll be back. He is, it's class. Yeah. So all the drivers, if they're in the same car, same track, same weather conditions, I would assume probably within 0.2 of each other.
Right.
Potentially.
Which is a tiny margin, is that right? Yeah.
Yeah,
as in,
like 2
but just
tenths
because
of a second
sometimes
over a 90-second lap is
right.
tiny.
Yeah, fair enough. Sometimes people say 0.2 of a second, as in there are instances where there are 100th of a second or even 1,000th of a second. So but in that instance, 0.2 is very small.
Yes, I think that's separating all of the ones that are on the grid, not the. I would say a lot of them would be almost hundredths, thousandths of a second close. So yeah, all the drivers are exceptional, is what I'm saying.
Yes, that's true. They're all like in the top, whatever 0.01% of
Exactly, and they are driving their cars to the best of the car's ability. So the car won't go round a corner as let's take last year, who was at the back, Alpine. An Alpine just will not go round a corner as fast as a McLaren.
Yeah. Okay.
No matter how much he tries, and if he tries too hard, he'll spin off.
Right.
So that's why they can't just go faster. So next up is sustainable fuels. Now, sustainable fuels is in a whole bid to make Formula One net carbon neutral, net zero by 2030. So sustainable fuels, from a science perspective, is a huge deal for Formula One, and
interesting.
I hope that this is the road to bringing back V10s, but that's another conversation all in itself.
And is their objective with this net zero thing? Is it purely altruistic? Like, are they doing it because out of the good of their hearts, for want of a better
I think the world's in a pretty difficult place at the moment.
I know
think
that.
It's probably just a mixture of all of those things trying to.
So they're trying to offset
can.
the massive carbon footprint that they make in literally every other aspect of the sport.
Of course.
Yeah.
And that's they're doing things like they're altering the structure of where the races are throughout the world throughout the times of the year. So there's no really long journeys, because there was times where they literally fly from one place all the way to the cross to the other side of the world, then
then fly back again.
Like,
yeah. I did wonder about that, why they didn't sort of clean that up a bit, like have all the American races kind of back to back. It's
a process, and I think it's also a case of seasons and stuff like that, in terms of like what's the weather going to be like and things, and just commercial contracts and all these things all play a part. But the sustainable fuels, so their fuel is going to be made from waste of waste, like non-food biomass, municipal waste, and so that's things like cooking oil. In terms of non-food biomass, I was looking into this, and take a banana skin, the bit that has touched food they're not allowed to use, but the bit that hasn't touched food, i.e. the external part of banana peel,
but
they
the
can
banana
use things
is
like
food.
that. No, but the internal is, but the external isn't.
Right,
but
it has touched the inside of it though.
And the external hasn't.
Okay.
The bit that you hold.
Yes. But like the inside of the outside has touched the outside of the inside.
Yeah, so I think it's like shaving away the bit that's touched the food, but the bit that hasn't can be used.
So are they going to put these banana skins on the track, like in Mario Kart?
They're going to throw them behind them. That's the next thing we're coming on to.
Good, yeah. Good.
Yoshi! Yeah, so this is all aiming for high performance, and sustainable fuel is a huge thing. I don't know enough about it. Apologies. But that is what they're doing. That's that's another massive change. The next massive change, and probably the one that I think is going to make the racing better this year, are the engines.
Woo!
Now, last year, and years gone by before that, 2014 was the last engine change, which they've used from 2014 to 2025. Petrol power engine was providing 80% of the power.
Yeah.
The electrical part of the engine, which was made up of the MGU-K and the MGU-H, was providing 20% of the power.
Mm-hmm.
The MGUK stands for Motor Generator Unit, kinetic. So the kinetic energy was being recovered and stored, and that was then able to then be used as additional power, like a hybrid car, as additional power when they were going on the straights. That could be managed to a certain extent, but basically when they come off the throttle, when they brake, that is recharging and regenerating some sort of power in this battery to then go back into when they press the accelerator, because it's a turbo era.
Right, so I remember watching a race, but probably like halfway through the season, and I think it was Kimi Antonelli, but they mentioned like, oh, he like needs to be careful about his battery, and I was like, wait, what? It hadn't been mentioned up until that point, like, well, at least not that I had heard it or like realized what they were talking about, and I was kind of like, the cars are battery powered?
Yeah, so they're like extreme hybrids.
Right.
And that electrical energy keeps on recharging and regenerating every time they, come off throttle, are braking.
Right, like you said, like a classic, like a typical, even not like a road car that is a hybrid.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Okay.
Hybrid engine is what they were going for.
Right.
There was another part of the engine called the MGUH, which is the Motor Generator Unit heat. This was the heat that was coming off of the turbo was also generating power in an electrical sense, which was all added to this 20% energy that was being thrown back into the engine when they came on throttle.
This sounds really patronizing, but that's like super smart.
So smart.
Yeah.
And everyone has been saying, oh, this year is so much more complicated, but actually they're getting rid of the MGUH thanks to Audi's entry. They said we're not interested in entering if the heat is going to be part of it, because we're not going to put the money and development into that, because that probably isn't going to be used in road cars.
Okay.
All the teams want to push forward with the future of how road cars can also be helped, with it being the pinnacle of motorsport. Audi weren't interested in entering, so the teams, F1, it's very expensive to do the MGUH. Let's get rid of it. So now the MGUK is bigger and is going to be providing 50% of the power. So last year it was 20%, this year it's 50%. So now we've got engine, which is your sustainable fuels petrol powered engine, is providing 50% of the power. The electrical part of it is providing another 50%, which is why when they bring back V10s in 5 years' time, I'm going to be buzzing, because
what is a V10?
A V10 engine is fully combustion engine, no electrical power, and it's what like Michael Schumacher raced back in the day. That screaming engine that goes past, like ridiculously powerful, loud. I went to the Hungarian Grand Prix in 2011, I want to say.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and it was when we arrived at the track. You had to walk up a massive hill to get to the grandstand and the track where you were going. As soon as you arrived at the track and got off the bus, like it felt like the ground was shaking from these cars that were just power, full blown power. And then when you get there, you have to wear earbuds.
Yeah, I was going to ask,
so
like
loud.
ear protection.
It was class. Now the engines this year, from the videos I've seen, have got more louder and there's more of a grunt behind them. But I think, especially with the sustainable fuels, is all a journey into going back to a fully combustion engine, but it's with sustainable fuels. Ooh. And some people have already done it. Sebastian Vettel in 2024 took Nigel Mansell's I'm going to get this wrong, 1990 or 1992 Williams around the Silverstone track as like a little demonstration. It was running entirely on sustainable energy, sustainable fuel. Yeah,
but
and it sounded insane.
Yeah. You know the little earbuds that the drivers wear, which I know they're like team radios or whatever, so they can hear what their engineers are saying. Do you think those are also noise cancelling? Like, so that because obviously they're like in the cars, like right next to like the engine sounds.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
We should ask them when we get a driver on our Formula Fun podcast.
Yeah. Who would be the first driver that you'd want on here? Don't say Lewis Hamilton.
I think it's going to be one of the rookies from last year because I think they.
Is that because they're the
so
most
raw.
attainable, or?
No, I think they're the most raw, and they're the most.
Yeah.
They're probably more likely to give you quite an honest answer about things.
Right. Yeah. Because if we got like somebody like Max on, LOL, I think he would. Like, I saw him actually do an interview yesterday where they were like, "So Max, like you've been like obviously working with Red Bull on the new engine. Like, what does it sound like?" Like, and he was just like, "It sounds like an engine." And I was like, "Yeah, good."
Of course he did.
And then, and then another guy asked him, "What's one thing that you wish the media would do better in terms of like portraying the sport on television?" I mean,
Can I guess what he said?
He walked right into that one. Go. What did he say?
Like, don't be there, don't turn up.
Almost. He said, "I wish they wouldn't ask so many stupid questions."
Perfect.
I'm not I'm not a Max lover per se, but I am a lover of his totally blunt
There was a press conference that happened, and I think he crashed into someone or something, and it was before he was like proper championship contention. And I think he'd been asked pretty much the same question in a press conference for like the fourth time about this crash, and he just came back and went, "If someone asks this question again, I'm going to headbutt someone."
For potentially very new listeners, we're talking about Max Verstappen. I mean, if you don't follow Formula One, it's probably a name that you've still heard. Like I definitely had heard of him before I. Max Verstappen. We're both professionally trained singers. So what did you think of that little rendition? We were singing in parallel fourths. Not many people can do that. So Jay's like, "Yep." Sorry, I totally strayed you away there from what you were saying, but
no, not at all. Who would I like on the podcast if we could get somebody? Yeah, it's going to be one of the rookies from last year. So I would say,
ready? Right, let's right. If we're talking about the rookies, so that's what, 1 of 6, right? So let's say after 3, who we would pick. Right, ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Kimi
Behrman.
Antonelli.
Oh.
but I think both would be great.
Yeah.
I was umming and ahhing between Behrman and Kimi Antonelli. I think Kimi Antonelli is such a kid. He's just in a weird way.
That's what I think about
so
Ollie
adorable.
Behrman too. I know he's young, but he literally looks like he's about 12 years old, and he's just there doo-doo-doo.
Yeah, and he can drive like a demon as well.
Yeah, he's brilliant. Yeah.
So next up, my boring engine chat. 2 modes that I think are important that are going to be really is going to make the racing
more exciting.
What it is this year, we hope. Yeah. We have boost mode, which drivers can use throughout a lap. So imagine, have you ever played on PlayStation where you have is it nitrogen that you can press and it's like
yeah.
Go
well,
faster?
I was just thinking the fact that they've named them boost mode and overtake mode, it just sounds like a
cartoon,
you're in the Batmobile or something. Oh.
So imagine that you have a fully charged battery at the start of every lap.
Right.
You can press your boost button throughout that lap as many times as you want, but obviously you need to try and conserve it as much as you can so that when you come out the final corner, when it recharges again, you can go again and press boost however often you want.
Right.
The drivers can use boost mode as often at any point on the track. They can use it to try and catch the car ahead. They can also use it to try and get away from the car behind. So you can use it in attack and defense. That is boost mode in a nutshell. The next bit, which I think is the bigger one, is overtake mode. Which again sounds like something out of a comic book or some sort of PlayStation game.
Yeah.
Overtake mode, in a similar way to how DRS worked last year, which is no longer here anymore.
Thank God.
If you are within 1 second of the car behind, you are going to be allowed to use overtake mode. Overtake mode is able to use 100% of the battery power in one go.
Right.
And it also, basically, if you're using your normal boost mode, past 290 kilometers an hour, there's you're not allowed. It doesn't use 100% of the power to get any faster.
Okay.
There's like there's a drop off in terms of the top speed that happens, and it drops off a little bit around 340 kilometers an hour, which is ridiculously fast.
Yeah.
The overtake mode overrides that, and it means that you have 100% of the battery to be able to deploy when you're over 290 kilometers an hour, which basically means that they should be able to overtake. But what will happen is, because if they get the overtake mode, they might overtake a car on that lap, but then their battery is going to be really dying
Depleted, yeah.
for the next lap, which means that the car that's now behind will then get overtake mode themselves, and then they can try and overtake again.
Right. So we're kind of back to a Mario Kart situation here, where it's
a little
like,
bit.
Yeah.
I think that's the intention, because the whole point is that we want to see action on track.
Yeah,
we
like
want to see racing.
overtakes are like one of the most exciting parts of.
Yeah, of course. So there's that, and then there's also recharge. Do you see what I'm saying? So there's going to be, it's going to be like a cat and mouse like game of chess, like how you use your battery power better when you're chasing versus when you're defending.
And from your perspective, are these decisions going to be made by the drivers, or are they going to be outsourced to the engineer? You know, I know that the drivers, you know,
they have control of
control of everything, and also that we don't get to see or hear the entire conversations that they have between.
So I think because of the way Formula One's run now, and there's so much data, the factories do all these simulations back at base. There's so many bits of data that the teams have access to that they will be able to test. Oh, if you use the boost button here, you'll be better for this part of the track, or if you recharge in this section, you'll have more boost to get to the end of the lap or something.
Right. So you don't think it's going to turn into like a micromanagement situation where, like, instead of them giving like an overall strategy, they're like, okay, on this turn you're going to press this button, and then
it could be. I think the testing that they're doing now is going to work that out. I mean, obviously all these teams have probably run hundreds of simulations of each track, of each race, of how it's going to land, of where best to use things. Obviously, into certain times of race combat, when someone's about to overtake, then I dare say someone's going to go, I know I only have 10% of my charge left, but I need to use it in order to keep this position.
Right.
For people that are listening, in terms of engineer, there is a race engineer that the drivers have constant contact with.
Yeah.
They also have a performance engineer.
Right.
And that's not performance as in like working out and strength training.
Doing a tap dance.
They have another person for that, or a tap dance.
Yeah.
They have a performance engineer that is like, oh, you went on throttle here at 30% when you could have done 35. It's literally that minute of details.
Right, okay.
The data that comes out of these races now, and even just like after one session, is extreme. So I think it's going to be a case of, it's going to require driver and engineer / team to work really well together in those scenarios.
Right. And they'll probably take a minute to figure that all out as well. Like
100%. Yeah.
Speaking of race engineers,
yes.
I saw a little graphic on Reddit. I love Reddit. It's like my main information source. I'm on the Formula One Reddit, but I'm also on the Formula Dank Reddit, which is just like memes. It's great. Anyway, I saw a graphic that showed how many minutes each of the drivers had spent conversing with their race engineers throughout the 2025 season. The first person in the person who came first had spoken to their race engineer more than double what the second person had spoken. Can you give a wild stab as to who that person was? Maybe I should have kept this till the end because it's a good question.
Yeah.
We could cut it out.
Who was top? Who spoke to their
Who spoke the most? And not only the most, but they spoke more than double the amount of minutes that the next person spoke.
Can you give me a nationality, or is that going to make it really obvious?
Well, if I give you a nationality, it is going to make it obvious, but it's quite funny because they are literally they're like polar opposites. So They're Spanish.
It wouldn't be Alonso.
Exactly.
So therefore it's Sainz.
Yeah.
Which makes a lot of sense because he's really trying to steal that Williams team. But wow, I didn't know it was like double.
I'll send it to you. I can't remember off the top of my head, but like his was like something like over 500 minutes. And then the next person was like, 200 minutes and then sort of down. And then I think Alonso was quite, because Alonso famously, stop talking to me or I'm going to rip this.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is. That's the kind of data I'm here for.
No, but that work, I love that.
Who
I
yaps
love that.
the most?
I am just going off about kilowatts and speeds and buttons and things that I don't really know what's going on. But I think as soon as you start watching the racing, it's going to be a lot more digestible for us to see as fans who are watching the sport. But yeah, this is just sort of an overview of what 2026 is looking like. So, to take away from this, smaller cars, smaller tyres, less downforce, which is going to be harder to drive, a bit more squirrely coming out of corners, a bit more unstable, more management from the driver and engineer combination. Reliability, I think this year is going to be a huge factor. I think cars, you've got 50-50% electrical power versus normal power.
Yep.
What if the battery dies?
Right.
Like half of your power's gone.
I mean, just today my battery died on my laptop and it was a nightmare.
There we go. It
delayed our recording by like an hour.
And it was a nightmare.
It was an absolute nightmare.
So imagine what it's going to be like for a Formula 1 driver with no battery. Computer says no. Yeah, reliability is going to be a factor. In 2014, and from an engine perspective, 2014, which was the last regulation change from an engine perspective. Last week I said 2016. It was 2014. I'm sorry. 2014, Mercedes absolutely got a massive head start on all their competitors. They're supplying 4 teams. Ferrari are supplying 3. And everyone else is supplying 2 or 1.
Okay.
So Mercedes, therefore, have a lot more data to go off to continue to develop and build this engine better. Now, there's a bit more.
So what you're saying is that George Russell is going to win.
George Russell goes into this championship as the favourite to win the championship.
Ooh.
I think.
I also think that.
We spoke last week about where we think maybe McLaren might be. I actually think I'm going to change my tune on it because I think McLaren had got into a really good place with their wind tunnel in terms of understanding aerodynamics.
But you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to go back on what you said.
No, I'm just going back and telling Jay that you're an idiot.
Right. Oh, I see. But you're not allowed to change your answer.
Not changing my answer. Yeah. Just telling him he was an idiot.
Right.
McLaren had sorted out their wind tunnel. Their aerodynamic department was cracking. They had the fastest car by far for the past 2 years. Different concepts of car in terms of aerodynamics, which we've already gone over. So that might cause an issue, but I think McLaren are going to be super quick, and also they've got Mercedes in the back of it. Okay. Mercedes, however, they are a engine provider, they're an engine manufacturer, and they've also got their own team. So everything around that car, Mercedes car, has been built with this engine in mind. McLaren, Williams, and Alpine have built a car where they're putting a Mercedes engine into it, which they only got given in like October, September time. So things would have to be reshaped and packaged. Mercedes have always had their design philosophy and they know what they wanted to do with it. So I think Mercedes are going to have a bit of an extra advantage over the competition. And I think George Russell, happily for you, goes into this championship as the favourite. However, we haven't started yet, and Ferrari are going to win it all, so it's all fine.
Right. Yeah, cool.
Shall we go into Quizifying?
Woo! Okay. Max Verstappen, the Dutch 4-time world champion, holds the record for the fastest pit stop in history. How long? I'll give it to you if you're within like 0.1 of a second. Or well, is that fair? Because
I know that McLaren have done a 1.8 second pit stop.
Okay, so this goes down to 0.00.
Okay.
So
I want to say that McLaren's was 0.87. So therefore, I'm going to go for 0.82.
Yes!
Boom.
1.82 seconds, Brazilian Grand Prix in 2019.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know it was that long ago. Wow. Okay. Lovely. Next.
Okay, so I'm not going to make you guess a number for this because I don't think that's fair. But the top speed ever recorded for an F1 car in a race, so not just like ever, was set in 2016 in Azerbaijan. Who said it
Was he a Williams driver?
at the time? Yes.
Lance Stroll.
No! Bottas. Valtteri Bottas.
Oh, it was after.
As if
Lance
it was
joined
as if it
after.
was Lance Stroll.
He came third
Okay.
in 20.
He came third like in a race.
Yeah,
Right.
2017, the following year. I
Right,
was
right,
close.
right. You were
And he
close
came
and you got
third.
that it was a Williams. I was very impressed.
He came third there, and you know who got second and pipped him literally at the line?
Don't know.
Valtteri Bottas
Oh, right. I should have, yeah.
in his Mercedes.
In the 2005 US Grand Prix, there was a tyre battle between Michelin and Bridgestone. The teams that were using Michelin ended up not being able to race because the compound wasn't good enough and the tyres would explode and then there would be loads
Yep.
of danger. So
Mhm.
how many cars ended up driving?
6.
Whoa!
Jordan, Ferrari, I want to say Minardi.
Yep. That is
And
knowledge.
Michael Schumacher won it.
He did.
Barrichello second.
Yeah.
And the Jordan driver called, I want to say Montero, came
Yep.
third.
Very, very good. Wow, that is knowledge. And it was
There you go.
Schumacher's only victory that year.
Yes, because Michelin were a lot better. Yeah.
So
But
there
they
you
all
go.
now try and have a look at the highlights of that or what's happened at the
Right,
start,
okay.
because all of the teams lined up on the grid as though the race was happening, but there
Yeah.
was this like rumor going around they wouldn't actually race.
Right.
They then did the warm-up formation lap. At the end of that warm-up lap, all of the teams apart from 6 cars drove into the pits and the drivers went home. The uproar
Yeah.
from like the crowd
Yeah.
is
I'm
insane.
sure you paid like $1,000 to come and watch, and it's just like
Yeah.
6 cars going around a track.
And there was, and also Ferrari were obviously a lot faster than
Yeah.
Jordan and Minardi, so there was no battles on track. It was
And
just
like,
6 cars going around.
did
the track.
that race still count towards the championship?
Yep.
So everybody else was just disqualified effectively?
Yep.
That's crazy. Well, there you go.
Okay,
So that was
very good. I like that.
That was
And I got
3
2
out of
right this
3.
year. It's an no. I didn't
no
get the
2
second
out
one
of
right.
3, but you got the team.
Yeah.
Right. Go.
Question number 1. This is to see if you've been listening to this episode.
Right. Oh god.
Question number 1. What is the split of electrical power and internal combustion in the 2026 F1 engines?
50-50.
Well done. What number will Max Verstappen use in 2026?
3.
Very good. What number did he used to use before he was world champion? This isn't a question, it's like a bonus thing.
Oh, is it 33?
It is 33.
Yeah.
Because who was 3?
A really famous driver.
Sure. Your favourite ever driver.
Oh, Ricardo!
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, that's so sweet.
Question number 3. How many races has Lewis Hamilton competed in? A. 380, B. 256, or C. 422? That is A. 380, B. 256, or C. 422.
380.
Well done. That is correct.
I was trying to do a little bit of quick maths in my head, like.
Last week you got 3 out of 3, and this week you got 3 out of 3. First week I got 1 out of 3, and second week I got 2 out of 3. So we're gonna have to keep this going.
I'm
Okay.
not going to make them easier, Jay. I'm not going to do it.
Right, I think that's all we got time for today. I hope you've learned a little bit of information about what the 2026 regulations are bringing. I think it's time for us to box, Sinead. You've been listening to the Formula Fun podcast.
Where Jay brings the formula.
And Sinead definitely brings the fun. Bye!
Beep, beep.